The arrival of Zorlan Zorlan, an alien from a distant galaxy known as Zeta 9, had been traveling through the vast and endless expanse of space for many years. His mission was simple yet significant: explore new worlds, gather information, and report back to his home planet. Zorlan's home planet was a technologically advanced civilization where peace and knowledge were valued above all. Zorlan had always dreamed of visiting distant stars, of discovering new life, and of learning the stories of strange worlds far beyond his own. For years, Zorlan had visited countless planets, each one unique in its own way. Some were lush with forests, others were barren deserts. Some were covered in oceans, while others had mountains that stretched up to the skies. He had studied many species of beings, from the smallest microorganisms to the most intelligent creatures. However, none of these worlds had prepared him for what he would find on Earth. It was a bright morning when Zorlan's spacecraft finally made a soft landing on Earth. As his ship descended through the atmosphere, he felt a strange mixture of excitement and nervousness. He had never encountered a planet like this before. It was a place full of rich green fields, vast oceans, and towering structures made by the inhabitants. When the spacecraft touched the ground with a gentle thud, Zorlan knew that his journey had reached its most important moment. The future of Earth and his people could depend on what happened next. Zorlan stepped out of his spacecraft and onto the soft, damp grass. His feet made a quiet sound as they sank into the earth, feeling the texture of the ground beneath him. He looked up at the blue sky, which was scattered with white, fluffy clouds. The air was thick with unfamiliar smells, the scent of flowers, trees, and the distant ocean. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced. He stretched his long, slender arms out wide, feeling the cool breeze. His 4 arms, each extending with a fluid grace, made him look even more alien, more different than the creatures of this world. He had shimmering silver skin that sparkled under the sunlight, and his large, round eyes scanned everything around him with curiosity. Zorlan's ship was equipped with an advanced translation device, allowing him to understand Earth's languages. He activated it as he moved forward, his mind racing with possibilities. What would he encounter here? Would the inhabitants be hostile or curious? Would they welcome him, or would they see him as a threat? Zorlan had learned that fear of the unknown was a common reaction in many civilizations. But he wasn't here to conquer or to harm. He was here to learn, to understand, and to share knowledge. As Zorlan ventured deeper into the small town near his landing site, he noticed that people were staring at him. The humans seemed confused and unsure, their eyes wide in both wonder and fear. He understood their reactions. After all, he was unlike anything they had ever seen. His long limbs, his shimmering skin, and his alien presence were enough to make anyone uneasy. But Zorlan wasn't frightened. He had learned the importance of communication and trust. As he walked through the town, he found a group of children playing in a park. Their laughter filled the air as they ran in circles, kicking a ball and chasing each other. Zorlan observed them from a distance, curious about their behavior. They seemed innocent, carefree, and full of energy. In that moment, Zorlan made a decision. Instead of walking away or retreating, he would approach them. He extended one of his long arms and waved gently, hoping to make them feel at ease. His glowing skin shimmered as he moved, drawing their attention. The children stopped in their tracks, their eyes growing wide in surprise. They had never seen anything like Zorlan before. Some of them took a step back, unsure of what to do, while others simply stood frozen in place. But then, one brave little girl, no older than 6, stepped forward. She had bright eyes and a fearless spirit that made her stand out among the group. Her name was Emily, and she was determined to discover the truth about this strange being. "Who are you?" Emily asked, her voice filled with curiosity but also a little bit of caution. Zorlan bent down to her level, his 4 arms extending in a gesture of peace. "I am Zorlan," he said in a soft, melodic voice. I come from the stars, from a world far, far away. I come in peace, to learn and to share knowledge. The other children, seeing that Emily wasn't scared, began to slowly approach him. One by one, they surrounded him, asking questions in rapid succession. How did you get here? What are you made of? Do you have a spaceship? Where are you from? Zorlan smiled, his eyes twinkling with amusement. He was happy to answer their questions. I traveled across the stars in my ship, he explained. My home is a planet much like yours, but we have advanced technology that helps us explore other worlds. We use energy to move through space, and we communicate through advanced devices. The children were fascinated. They asked him everything they could think of, from the stars and planets to the food he ate. Zorlan answered each question thoughtfully, sharing stories about his home planet, Zeta 9. He told them about the peaceful society he came from, where knowledge and understanding were the foundations of life. He spoke of the great libraries filled with books, the advanced technology that allowed them to travel across galaxies, and the way different species on his planet lived in harmony with one another. As the sun began to set, the children sat on the grass, listening intently to Zorlan's tales. Even the adults in the town had gathered around, now less afraid and more intrigued by the peaceful alien who had come to share his knowledge. Emily, still sitting beside Zorlan, looked up at him with awe. Do you think we could learn from each other? She asked. Zorlan smiled. Yes, he replied. I believe that we can. Every world has its own stories, its own lessons to teach. And by sharing those stories, we can grow and understand one another better. The children spent hours with Zorlan, learning about his planet, his travels, and the wonders of the universe. As the night grew darker, Zorlan knew it was time for him to continue his journey. He had accomplished what he had set out to do. Not only had he learned about Earth, but he had also made new friends. Before he left, he looked up at the stars, a sense of fulfillment filling his heart. He realized that this mission, this journey, had been about more than just exploration. It had been about connection, about sharing knowledge and understanding, and about the hope for a future where different beings could live in peace. Zorlan returned to his spacecraft, his heart light. As the engines hummed to life, he took one last look at Earth, knowing that he had left behind something important. The possibility of a future where different worlds could work together for the betterment of all. With a gentle roar, his ship lifted off into the night sky, heading toward the next adventure, but forever carrying the memory of the children and their boundless curiosity.